What is up, Sopranos fans? Kino here. I'm back with another Soprano log, and today we are looking at the second episode of the fourth season, No Show. Now, the guys are out at dinner, they're celebrating, and Ralph makes a joke about Ginny's sack. You know, for the sake of respecting John, I'm not going to repeat the filthy remark here. No, I'm just kidding. He said that she's having a 95-pound mole taken off her ass. And, you know, this joke goes over well, it makes everyone laugh. But of course, we're going to see this become a really big issue, no pun intended, coming up soon. But after the dinner, there's a sit down to discuss some no-show jobs. Paulie is in prison and he's looking to get some jobs on the Esplanade for his people. Eventually, it's decided that Ralph will hand over 5 jobs. 2 of them are no-show jobs, which means that the guys who have those don't even need to come in. They just get paid for doing nothing. And then 3 of them are no-work jobs. Which means the guys have to hang around the job site. They don't have to work, but they have to be there all day. And this is in case some inspector or something comes by, they can at least say that, oh yeah, they're over there, they're just taking a break. So that's how these jobs work. Paulie and Christopher both get the no-show jobs. Patsy and some of the other guys get the no-work jobs, which are obviously less attractive. And then to make matters worse, Christopher is made acting capo of Paulie's crew. Again, as we saw last episode, Tony is trying to groom Christopher, to become a leader in the family. And this is the first step, is making him acting capo, which upsets Patsy because he was Paulie's right-hand man, and he feels the position belongs to him. Christopher's just getting it from nepotism. And so this obviously bothers some of the people in the family. Meanwhile, Janice has been seeing Ralph. They're together even though he's still with Rosalie right now. Tony comes over and discovers Ralph's shoe there, so he learns that they're sleeping together. And he's just disgusted at the idea of the 2 of them together, which, is absolutely true. I mean, probably the 2 worst human beings on the show are now bumping uglies, so not a delightful image. But later on, Christopher goes to see the crew at the job site. He's acting like a jerk to them, rubbing in the fact that he doesn't have to go to the job at all. Although it's equally funny that Patsy is complaining about how hard it is for them when in reality all they have to do is sit there. They don't have to do any work. But they're complaining about the heat and, they have to sit there bored all day. When in reality they're all having it way easier than the guys who are doing the actual work. But they decide to steal some fiber optic cables. Christopher kind of gives a nod. He doesn't say to go ahead, but he's letting them know to steal it because it's worth a lot of money. But when Tony learns about this, he gets really pissed at Christopher. They don't want to draw heat to this $250 million job that they're all making money on, just to steal some fiber optic cables. So he chastises Christopher for that. And then in turn, Christopher chastises Patsy and says it was his fault, even though, Christopher as the boss gave the go-ahead. So it is really his fault. But we see that he's not really ready for this leadership position yet. And the stress of it all has him start using heroin again. So he swore it off for a little bit, but now he's right back into his old habits. Meanwhile, Meadow has been hanging around the house all summer doing nothing. After the death of Jackie Jr., she says she's depressed and she doesn't want to do anything. Although we see her having a blast, going to parties and lounging around. So we're questioning how much of this is, just an excuse for her not to work hard. But Meadow shocks her parents when she tells them that she wants to go to Europe for a year and stop going to school. Tony and Carmela obviously don't like this idea. They don't want her to throw away her education. So they try to talk her out of going, and they forced her to go see a psychologist that Dr. Melfi recommended. However, this psychologist is a whack job. She's asking, if Tony and them molested them, even though Meadow didn't bring up anything like that. But the psychologist recommends that she takes the year off and maybe even goes to school in Europe, which obviously that idea really infuriates Tony and Carmela. Later, Patsy's talking to Silvio, complaining about Christopher, and then Silvio tells Patsy to go steal something else from the job site. He says that he'll back him up, and Patsy ends up stealing some floor tiles. Christopher is furious when he learns this. He gave a direct order to Patsy not to steal anything, and this kind of flouts his authority, as if he goes down to the job site and makes a scene. They almost get into a fight, but they end up walking away, and then Patsy beats up some poor civilian for just, being there. but we can see that tensions are rising in Paulie's crew over Christopher's leadership. Tony and Carmela talk to Meadow after her therapy session. They get into a real big argument over her going, and it leads into an argument about Tony's role in the mafia and if Meadow blames him or not for Jackie's death, which of course, Tony does feel guilty because in a way he did order Jackie's death. I mean, not just from, allowing him to get involved in bad things, but literally he manipulated Ralph into killing him, basically. So Meadow threatens to run off to Europe and she runs out of the house. And so they're worried that, she might have just gone off on her own. But later we see that she actually just went back to Columbia and is trying to register for her classes. Most of her classes are already taken, but she gets into a philosophy class. It's about morality and society. And of course, this is going to lead into her, changing her career path from wanting to be a doctor to wanting to be a lawyer. So we'll see that play out over the next seasons. Later on, Silvio goes to Tony to talk about what happened at the job site. It was his order to steal that stuff. And, Tony's seeing, why Silvio did that, if he's, trying to, test Tony and see what his reaction would be and remind him of who are his most loyal people. Is it Christopher or is it people like Silvio, who have always been there for him? So we're seeing a little bit of tension between the two of these two. Although, Silvio knows his place and he hands over the money from the job. So it kind of smooths things over between the two of them. And then the last kind of storyline happening in this episode is Adriana and Danielle continue to bond. Adriana ends up telling her about something she's never told anyone else, that she might not be able to have kids. And so Christopher obviously really wants kids and, she hasn't even told him. She's scared to tell him. So we can see how much Adriana trusts Danielle. Later on, Danielle hangs out with her and Christopher at the club. They're in the back room drinking, doing drugs. And then Christopher makes a move on Danielle. He puts his hand on her leg. She freaks out and runs away. But Christopher blames Danielle for making the move to Adriana. Obviously, to kind of smooth things over, he says that Danielle was hitting on him. And Adriana, being the naive girl she is, believes him. So she doesn't want to see Danielle anymore. She thinks that she was trying to steal her man. So with the undercover operation a bust, they decide to just go ahead and bring Adriana in. So they show up one day and take her to the headquarters and let her know that, she's going to be placed under arrest unless she agrees to provide information on the family. And this causes her to, puke. She even pukes on the FBI agents themselves. She's just so overwhelmed with this information. But yeah, we're seeing the horrible position that Adriana has been put in by the FBI that took advantage of her, by Christopher for lying to her. She's just a really innocent person, and now she's being placed in this impossible position that if she works with the FBI, she's probably going to die, and then if she doesn't work with the FBI, they're going to find out that she brought an undercover agent to Tony's house, and then that will probably get her killed. So it's a hard decision either way. But we'll see how that plays out in future episodes, and thank you guys so much for watching this Soprano log. I want to give a special shout out to my patrons who made this video happen. Hunter, Tommy Smith, Abdal Alamari, George Jones, Russell, Sean, Graham Favang, Rooftop, Rico Bellick, Heart of Markness, Broccoli, Isaiah, Placenta Juan, and Logan. You guys are incredible.